Hey, how you guys doing? I'm Alex. So the Object 140 full review. Let's look under the hood. I should probably just keep naming it that. Um, yeah, so this is actually a really fun tank. I'm going to say that it plays more like a light tank than it does a Soviet medium, which is the tanks you're used to, but it does have a little bit of everything that you want. Speed, armor. So 580 horsepower, which seems like that's actually less than it used to be. And also, it's got a 16% horsepower to ton ratio. It does 55 kilometers. It can achieve it, but it is a very slow tank these days in comparison to when the last time I played it. It does 20 in reverse, 12% chance of engine fire. The gun fires stock 6.6 seconds, aim time 2.10, accuracy 0.35, max range on the shells 720, 17 degrees of elevation, 6 degrees of depression, which makes it the best of the Soviet medium tanks as far as that goes. Ground resistance, not so good. Terrain resistance is kind of nerfed. 400 meters of view range, which is really good. Radio range 730, and of course the ammunition, the shoots APCR standard for 264, and heat shells for 330, and 50 penetration for 420 alpha damage with the HE if it was to actually pin. Alpha damage on this is 320 average shots. As you guys can see, the armor is actually pretty decent here. You know, it does have some uber weak points. Right there is one of them. If you shoot right above the gun line or shoot it directly in the gun with an APCR, it will go through almost all the way through, which doesn't really make sense to me because the breach and everything is something like, yeah, that's a big piece of armor. That's all I can say. But yeah, as we go down, you guys can see there's what I was talking about. You can actually pin it through the gun. Just kind of crazy. Only with APCR. So, yeah, we're going to talk about some tricks and stuff. And I picked one of the newest maps, which is, I believe it's Icebound. And of course, this is what it has on, you know, this is what its armor is actually. So, you know, you need 260 plus pin to go through the gun, and of course up here you can see that you can actually overmatch it pretty easily. And of course right here are places you probably don't want to shoot unless you're shooting heat. And of course the upper plate hatches everything, you know, but you can see here that you need more than 200 pin. But I'm going to go ahead and say that on console you can bounce tier 8s you know, with standard shells, no problems off that front plate. And side scraping is actually can work really effective. As you guys look here, the amount of bouncing you get, even though it's actually super thin. This is supposed to be one of the lightest and fastest, but I do believe that the horsepower has been dropped down a bit on this tank. I'm actually going to go ahead and compare it with the T62, which does 5 less. And see how much horsepower it has. It has 580 horsepower with a 15 horsepower to ton ratio. And of course the Object 140, which is actually got, you know, speed and armor. It's got a little bit of both. It's got to have more. So here you go, Icebound. I picked this map because it's new. Don't really know what I'm doing. And of course we're playing with a good friend of mine, Boxhound. And we're playing with Dano. Dano's, I just did one of his clips here recently. So I was curious about the Object 430, because I'm going to actually be going for the T62 next. What's the horsepower on? 580. So, yeah, it's crazy. It's got 16, so it's got the same horsepower. That's kind of a trip. Okay, so if you guys check out the speed we're doing, you can get up to 55 if you're not maneuvering around on relatively flat terrain. But it does have to be on specific maps. The snow on this does slow you down quite a bit. The Russian tanks are actually built for that kind of stuff, so I'm assuming that they're usually pretty high up. And I think the reason why is so that they can push through those snowbanks. So I've never been on this
I mean,
map. This is my second time on
I've
it,
seen
and so
something
I didn't
similar.
expect it to be a very good game. And I added in kind of like the road to the Mark of Excellence, like some highlighted
so.
footage. For instance,
I
me
think
actually
this is
getting the Mark of
domination
Excellence,
map.
which was
The map
relatively
is in the
easy
domination.
compared to the Skoda or the TVP. The TVP was extremely difficult
I mean, the
compared to
middle
this.
is
I had to do
blocked.
about 7,000 damage. On this one, you're good if you can land 13 pins a game and spot 1,000. That's good. So something I did want to mention, which is that what they don't show you on this, is the concealment factor. Now I looked at it on PC, the concealment on this, and you're getting like with camouflage and also with the perks and stuff, you're getting you know, roughly around
You must fire
the same
all
as a
these-
bat chat, if not more than a bat chat. Now, of course, that's while not moving. Once you move, that goes out the window with this tank. So when sitting still, you actually do have a very good camouflage rating. In comparison, if you see, it really shrinks down. So yeah, my perks that I'm running on this and equipment, I'm running ventilation, gun rammer, and of course coated optics. I'm working on situational awareness, and I do want to throw maybe vertical stabilizer on her, but it doesn't need it. So I think I could save myself getting, you know, I could leave that. It doesn't need gun handling. It really doesn't. What it does need is more accurate shots. So I'm going to say that normally, if I was playing this in a clan or tournament or something, I would basically be running, you know, chocolate to give
I'm
myself
trying to
just a
poke
little
out,
bit of
like,
boost. But I will say that something you could try too is octane. Linseed oil, which is about 5,000 more a game, not too much. That will give you a little bit more horsepower, and so one of the main features of any Soviet medium is the fact that hull down,
I keep getting
they're
outspotted,
usually
but I think
pretty good as long as you're moving. Now, I did want to mention something to you, that when people fire at you, moving forward actually is better than backing up. So if you see a guy firing at you and you have a rock in front of you or a tank, you're better off driving towards the shot
Trying to
than
hit
backing
him
away.
through
When you back away, sometimes he can hit that
lovely.
overmatch the top of your turret.
Kill.
Now, most people don't know what to make of this tank because not a lot of
7
people
there,
play it, and it's a
7.
very peculiar tank. It can be there
clipped,
1 minute
he's
and
clipped.
gone the
Nah,
next.
he's clipped.
1,900 hit points. It actually has 100 more
Yeah,
than the
he's trying to
Skoda.
get close.
I actually thought I was going to be dead here, but I don't know what that guy's doing. I'm assuming he's reloading. I'm not going to be able to pin him at this angle, but I thought, you know, hey, I can get his upper plate, and of course it's trolling me. But he's going to die anyway, so as soon as he
Okay,
gives
come
me
around,
that
come
center
around.
area, he's gone, so...
Oh, no, you got
he could have clipped me out. That's what I actually thought was going to happen. He was just going to clip me.
Oh.
All right, so
shit,
we were looking at 5 pins. So
Oh,
you know,
it's
if I want to go any further, I need to get, you know, at least 13 to 14 pins if I want to
I'm dead.
continue working on
gone.
my mark. Now I'm gonna eventually go for 2 marks on some of these tanks, but not right now at this particular time. And you can see here while driving forward, I was actually able to bounce
not expecting
and
it.
do that. Now,
At all.
I don't know why. I've stopped and tried to back up, and they
Thank you for
penetrated
letting
even my mandolet before. But while going forward, it seems to be more effective. So basically, if you want to play this tank successfully, drive towards danger, and then get out of there as soon as possible. And that's your best bet, is to use the fact that it has good, decent maneuverability and speed. As you can see here, I'm able to maneuver away from getting shot from the right-hand side, and I'm going to go ahead and just leave him to burn. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that the gun, its penetration is very troll. So I'm going to go ahead and say that you have to be very patient with it, and you kind of have to play it. I mean, like, playing the Skoda really gave me respect for the fact that this has 264 pin. That's actually a lot, but that doesn't mean you're going to pin, you know, the hatch every time on like an E5, or, you know, even the lower plate on that. It's very hard to pin the lower plate on that. I don't know why. I've actually shot from range and not been able to do it. It's crazy. So you do have to, you know, you are going to bounce some with this gun, and you just have to be prepared for that.
It's pretty
So
credible,
I got 13, so I'm not really worried about anything at this point. I'm like, hey, good game, GG. you know,
Well,
that
they
should
took
be,
out, like,
you know, a lot of
15
damage,
maps.
right? The alpha is
This 360
320,
couldn't
so
handle it, and then
that's
just adding
decent,
all
right?
their new
320.
maps. Look at what we can
But
do.
you know, it does seem to do a little bit more damage than that. So I got 4,000 damage there, and you can see that I got a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
I
you
got
would've got
assist
the
damage, I
heavy
got
metal
block
helped out.
damage, and that's where this thing comes into
what
its
it was.
own. Is, you know, the Soviets get everything. They get assist, they get block, they
So,
get everything.
it's received
Um,
50,000 or more
so,
potential damage in any number of surviving battle.
To mention some other, you know, good points about this vehicle, is
I'm
like I
pretty sure
said,
it's a,
if you're playing this
it's a covert op. It's
for
a covert
fun,
op, so you can't
I
see
would
the,
recommend using
actual op
Lindsay
sync.
oil and
I
getting
think.
like the firefighter perks and just leaving coated optics on it. It
I'm not
doesn't
quite
really
sure.
need any better gun handling than it already has. All right, so we're going to be looking at some gameplay endings to like the road to the mark on this. This was a game that I had, and you guys can see here, it was a defeat, but I landed 16 pins, and I was actually able to still assist and get some decent top of the board, even got some points on that. So here's another game. Now, if you play this thing correctly, you guys check this out. If you play this correctly, you can actually get tons of assistance. I did this on Pro Vodka or Pro Alka Vodka, something like that. And I basically was sitting in the bushes and I kept moving back and forth and I didn't fire at all. And I was able to assist in over 8,000 damage. And the guys that did fire at me because of the location I was going to show you guys the match, but I mean, 7 penetrations and then, you know, detecting 5. I played more like a light tank in this than I did an actual medium, which it's not a hybrid vehicle. You can do it with a bat chat as well. You could do it with any medium except for like the E50. But here is the actual game that I got the mark on. As you guys can see, I did almost as much assistance as I did damage, and I also blocked a lot, and there's my mark of excellence. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and don't forget to punch that like button, and of course, comment. And if you guys want to see more content like this, please subscribe to my channel, and have a good one. Later.